So the bus driver was looking at us in the rear view as we were kind of coming into town, and I'm sure he was wondering, how did I end up with these 6 U.S. college students on my bus going into Las Glorias? It was 1977, and Las Glorias had a population of about 400, and you couldn't even find it on the map. How in the world did we find it? Kind of blame it on the good old Grateful Dead. We had this tape cassette with us, and we had been playing some tunes, and lo and behold, some local Mexican deadheads had heard it. We'd hooked up, and the next thing we knew, we were on our way to Las Glorias, largely because they knew there was a casita there that we could use, and we were very much looking for a place to stay near the beach. La Glorias was wonderful, and as we got into town, bus driver stopped, let us off, and said, "Que la vaya bien," have a good trip. I guess we had passed the test with him. He seemed like he liked us. And the town was everything we hoped for. The first thing was there was actually a casita there that we could stay in. It was rustic, but it had indoor plumbing, which was important. There was this phenomenally beautiful beach, and there were a couple of restaurants that had relatively cheap food and relatively warm beer, but it was also relatively cheap. And it was everything we were hoping for on this spring break trip. When we started the trip, we were not fools. We knew that the way we were dressed, how we looked, that we would attract a fair amount of attention in Mexico and traveling overland down through Texas and whatnot. And so we had made this pact that we were going to be relatively calm on this trip, and we were going to stick with beer and tequila. And no matter how much we might be interested in trying to go out and find some pot, we weren't going to do that. And psychedelics were definitely, there's no way we were going to do that. But I guess the friendship with these 3 Mexican deadheads and the fact that they seemed to have an ample supply of things that you could smoke kind of ruined our resolve on the number 1 item. We ran into this sort of nice, easy way of being there. We'd get up in the morning, go to one of the restaurants, go to the beach, come back, have lunch, have a siesta, go to the beach. And the plan was we were going to stay there for 8 days. Day 4, Jim and Kim decide that they're going to go back to the casita a little bit early, and as they're approaching it, this neighbor comes running out, and he's frantic, and he's screaming at them, "Car, car, car," which it's a good thing they were there because I don't speak Spanish, but I think what it means is run away, run away, run away. The federales had come while we were at the beach, and they had hauled off our 3 Mexican friends. And the neighbor was completely convinced that they were going to come in and grab us too. So we needed to get our stuff, and we needed to get out of town. And this is where the thing that made Las Glorias the perfect place for us to escape to made it the worst place to escape from. There was only one road out of town. We were literally on the ocean. There was a river to the south of us. The beach went on forever. There was nothing there. And there was 18 miles of a single-lane road that ran through scrub desert. There was no way we were going to run away on that road back to the next town. We got all our stuff together. We're standing there trying to figure out what we're going to do, and salvation came in the form of the bus, which came bouncing into town. And we figured we're better off on the bus than we are out in the open. Ran up, gave the driver more money than we needed to pay for the fare, and told him in our really bad Spanish, "No estamos aquí, we're not here." Went and got in the back of the bus and kind of ducked down, and he looked at us with that kind of look of, "I think I understand what's going on here." And as we were getting settled in and we were waiting for other townsfolk to get on the bus, looking out the back window, we see 2 trucks full of soldiers coming in on the road that we would have been running out on. So thank God we hadn't done that. One truck goes over, pulls up at the casita, the soldiers get out, they start searching it. They go over and start talking to one of the restaurant owners, and the restaurant owner's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't seen any American college students." And they talk to the neighbor, and the neighbor keeps pointing at the beach, and like they're over there somewhere. And ultimately, they come over and start asking the bus driver about us. And the bus driver's sitting there, and I'm assuming they're asking him if he's seen us, and he just keeps going, "No, no, no." And then I guess they asked him if it was okay if they could look on the bus. And you could see him, his eyes sort of shifted up, sort of looking in the rear view. And, he said, "Sí, señor," and he let them come up on the bus. And for reasons I cannot explain, federales came up on the bus. They looked down the aisle. They saw Mexican peasants. They didn't see us. They got off, the doors closed, and off the bus went. And I can remember as we were bouncing out of town, looking back out and just thinking, oh my God, I can't believe what just had happened. We could have been sitting in the back of that truck, locked up with those soldiers, and here we are on this bus, but for the grace of God. And then I realized it really wasn't the grace of God at all. It was the grace of these strangers. It was the bus driver, it was the restaurant owner, it was the neighbor, and it was these townspeople who were sitting on the bus, sitting in front of us, who knew we were there, who when we're being asked, had you seen these American college students? They said, no, no, no. We got to Guasave, which was the next town, and I remember getting off and the bus driver sort of smiling at us and saying, as usual, que la vaya bien, have a good trip. And the only thing that I could think of to say at that point in time to him was, gracias por todo, señor. Thank you for everything.